Welcome back to The Price of Business. I am your host, Kevin Price, talking to you about you and your business. Got Chris Kidd in. You know, he comes in every week and brings us excellent stories about the world of the sports business, plus entertainment business. We always have a lot of fun. He's a financial coach. You can learn more about him at Chris Kidd, that's KIDD.com. But tell the audience a little bit about what you do before you introduce your guest today. And by the way, he's got a huge collection of great articles over at USDailyReview.com as well. So tell us about your guests.
Well, my guest is Roger Quiles. He is a attorney out of New York who specializes in the sports industry and I guess sports and entertainment. He's a friend of mine. We've had him on before. We've got some pretty interesting stuff that has kind of come up recently, and we wanted to talk about that. I don't think I gave his website yet, but people can go check out Roger over at rrqlaw.com. And let's get going. Good to have you on, Roger.
Thank you for having me.
Real quickly, tell us, kind of give the elevator speech about your practice.
So I'm a solo attorney from New York City. I work with businesses, sports businesses, athletes, as well as the esports business. And I think that's what we're here to talk about a little bit today. Esports is pretty new and exciting, and it's a new little segment and growing segment of the sports industry.
Very good. Go ahead, Chris.
Yeah, talk a little bit about that. And I know as far as anything in that gaming world, they just had the big event last week, I guess it was. Talk a little bit about that and how what the esports business is and what it's kind of growing into.
Sure. So esports is just the abbreviation for electronic sports. And what that basically is competitive video gaming. And believe it or not, this is turning into it's already a $194 million industry that's rapidly expanding and projected to become a $1 billion industry by roughly 2017. So basically people form teams the same way you would form, a baseball team or a football team, and they take part in these tournaments and professional leagues. And they do it for profit. They also stream their games online through services like Twitch. And they have sponsors the same way any other professional team does. And there's a lot of the same legal issues that arise in this context also.
How rapidly is this business growing?
Very rapidly. It's been around in some form or another since 1998 with the development or the ease of access to high-speed internet. It's taken off tremendously. Last year was really a tipping point for the industry where there was a lot more money being poured into it, and now it's pretty common to see $50,000 tournaments, $1 million tournaments. There's actually a tournament coming up which has set the highest prize pool, which has broke the record for the highest prize pool, which is roughly $14 million right now, to be split among the top 8 teams.
Wow. And how many people are normally on a team?
It depends on the game. So some titles are very individual, like fighting games like Street Fighter or Smash Brothers, and then it's really just one person. Other games have 4 or 5 people, but it's completely dependent on the game itself.
Very interesting. Very interesting. And I'm just only assuming that you're only going to expect this industry to continue to grow, to explode, really, it sounds like.
Absolutely. This year you had ESPN actually show the Heroes of the Dorm competition, which was a competition amongst colleges playing a particular game in order to win scholarship money. There was quite a lot of controversy surrounding the event going on. With some announcers who were very displeased with the fact that ESPN was showing video games. But needless to say, esports has been a part of the last 3 X Games. And I believe it will also be a part of the next one. I'm not 100% sure on that. And ESPN, the magazine, has even just put out, in the last week or so, their first ever dedicated esports issue. So it's certainly growing at a very rapid pace, and your traditional sports outlets are starting to take notice.
That's funny that they're offering the scholarship money on the video game competition at school. I remember when I was in college, me and a roommate got into a really competitive video game back and forth on one of I think it was Tekken 3 that we had at the time, and we stayed up, I think, all night going back and forth because neither one of us wanted to go to bed losing. And then it came time to go to class, and we didn't want to leave until we had won, so we ended up missing class.
Glad you had your priorities straight.
Yeah, you had to win 2 in a row.
Yeah.
So
believe it or not, that's exactly where this entire industry is coming from. And you even now have, these professional gamers are generally between the ages of like 18 and 24, and they're completely foregoing college to do this full time because, they're training 8 to 10 hours a day. Then there's the games, which are going to take several hours.
Where do you come in on all of this as far as working with some of the gamers and sponsorship and all of that stuff?
So I've had the pleasure of working with tournament producers, teams, as well as players. So I'm kind of on all different sides of this. And the good thing is it's a lot of the teamwork and tournament producer work mirrors, on a much smaller scale, mind you, the work of leagues as well as professional sports teams as we know it. So drafting sponsorship agreements, player contracts, because obviously there's no standardized contract since there's no union, working out sponsorship agreements with players, and a lot of the different contractual nuances that go along with all of that.
There was another interesting topic that I saw on the radar screen you were going to bring up as well. Why don't you mention that? That caught my attention over the weekend.
Are you talking about the one we were just talking about, or the one from
St. Louis Cardinals?
Yeah. What what's going on there? Our FBI investigation in Major League Baseball over one team hacking another?
Yeah. So the St. Louis Cardinals were caught snooping around the servers of the Houston Astros. I believe it was last year. And right now the FBI is investigating the St. Louis Cardinals as well and the individuals involved, which is a pretty big deal, especially since this is a federal offense. So people can actually see jail time over this.
Yeah.
Well, tell us a little bit of kind of what they were doing, if you know, because I know originally I thought, okay, well, maybe they just hacked into them. They were playing a little joke and did, maybe changed a logo to a cardinal or something on their website or something stupid like that. But this was really kind of another form of cheating.
Yeah.
Yeah. As far as I'm aware, I know that they were looking into, or I know that the Astros had started adopting of some very advanced statistical measures for evaluating their players, other teams' players, and so on. And the Cardinals were going after that info. So it really was, I guess, a method of trying to take their scouting information and their analytics that they had used in order, I guess, to gain a competitive advantage, be it against the Astros or any other team, especially if the Astros are compiling the information on other teams. But, yeah, that's the information they were seeking. I know supposedly some of the information was leaked online as well.
Oh, wow. So I'm guessing that would really kind of fall into the same lines as, like in the business world,
industrial espionage.
Yeah, somebody stealing another company's technology.
Yep, absolutely.
What kind of jail time potentially are people looking at?
That I couldn't tell you. I'd have to do a little digging on that, but I do know it's substantial time. It'll definitely be a few years.
Yeah, it's really disconcerting, and I'm a huge Cardinal fan, just for the record. My dad grew up in Alton, Illinois. I'm also a huge Astro fan. I'm a huge Astro
You are wearing the Astros colors now.
Colors today. But I hate to see a quality franchise like the Cardinals get stuck in that kind of mire. That's horrible.
It's very interesting for that team especially because, they're very revered throughout all of baseball as being, the good guys, the ones that do it the right way and get to the playoffs every year. And They've been the gold standard for what an organization is and should be.
For
and that's
decades.
coming from a, a long-suffering Mets fan.
For literally decades. Arguably the Yankees of the National League and with a better reputation until recently.
Now they're the Patriots.
Oh, ooh, yeah. So that was our producer. He just couldn't restrain himself. But anyway, great information, great stuff. A couple of minutes left. Why don't you wrap up with the final question there, Chris?
Well, let's kind of go back to the e-gaming real quick, and what kind of sponsorship deals do you see, with these guys? Is most of it? I know a lot of them have YouTube channels and stuff like that they can get paid on now. Is that the way that a lot of them are getting it? Or are they getting sponsors from, like, say, a Monster energy drink or somebody like that, and clothing and stuff like that to wear while they're at the tournaments? And how's the sponsorship work?
So the sponsors right now are coming from a couple of different sides. So usually teams and players will all have, their own YouTube channels, their own Twitch streaming channels, and as well as their own social media accounts. So the YouTube sponsorships and the Twitch streaming sponsorships are generally much smaller, and those will be, like a gaming chair or equipment, like a keyboard, a mouse, special types of controllers, etc. The teams right now have the much more larger sponsors. There are several teams that have Monster Energy as a sponsor, several that have one, I believe, that has Red Bull, and the leagues have by far the biggest sponsorships. So right now, League of Legends actually, which is an esports title, probably the most popular one in the world, has a sponsorship with Coca-Cola. They've previously had Amex. And I believe MLG has also had Dr. Pepper. So the sponsorships right now are not as traditional as most professional sports are, but they certainly are shifting towards that direction, and you'll start seeing a lot more endemic sponsors entering into this field as it grows and as it becomes more profitable for the sponsors to be in.
Yeah, very good stuff. Well, gentlemen, thanks to both of you. Chris Kidd is at Chris Kidd, KIDD.com. Then our guest today, you can learn more about him at his website, rrqlaw.com. That's rrqlaw.com. And thanks so much for being with us, Roger. We appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
All right. When we come back, much more for you. I do want to remind you, best content here shows up over there at usdatareview.com. And you're listening to The Price of Business.